by my grandparents from a very young age, and I was very blessed to grow up with my grandfather as the primary male influence in my life. My grandfather was he was my dad as well. He taught me what it means to be a man. He taught me so much about love, about life, integrity, about doing what's right, and having faith. He was a strong believer in his faith. Grandpa also loved land. He was a big love of our family land, Abamoks, and he promised my grandmother's dad, Johnny Black, that he would always look after the land and have it ready for our family to take over when the time came. My grandfather was a very firm believer in keeping his promise to my great-grandfather. My grandfather loved his people, he loved his land, but more than anything in the world, he loved his family. He loved his wife, Eileen. My grandfather, he would do anything in the world for Grandma. He was always so worried about her. He was always so concerned about making sure she was happy, making sure she was safe. And as he got older, it was very difficult for him to transition into, passing on that role to someone else. He always wanted to carry forth his promises, his vows that he made on their wedding day, February 14th, 2010. My grandfather was a role model to our community. Father instilled in us our values and our faith, and he made sure that he knew we were loved. But he also made sure that we knew to look after one another. He wanted nothing but the best for us. I remember him always being very steadfast in our education. He would come with me to every school class. My teachers from grade 1 still talk about him and how he was always at the school, always checking on my education. He was volunteering at school events. He would always make sure he drove me to and from school, no matter what. He always made sure that I had lunches. I remember coming home from school in my in my elementary school years, and he had his famous pot of Lipton's chicken noodle soup on the stove waiting for me when I got there. I have so many good and wonderful memories about Father, but the one thing that sticks out most to me is his capacity for love and forgiveness. Over the past few weeks and years, I've had the opportunity to spend a lot of time talking to people about him, especially people on the blood reserve in the blood community. And whenever people find out that, oh, you're Father Gutier's grandson, they're always so happy and ready to share stories about their memories of him. And I know that as beloved as he was to our family, Father was equally beloved to the people in the Blackfoot Confederacy. Over the years, Father worked in various capacities. He worked with the Land Claims Department, he worked for the Chief and Council, and especially talked about the Blackfoot language for us. He was so adamant that we protect our language. I wish that I had listened a little more when he encouraged me to learn our language. I'm so grateful for the recordings that I have of him. His capacity to document everything was always so important, and because of that we now have cherished videos or audio recordings of him speaking our language. One of my favorite memories as I look back over the years, one memory I'll always cherish is listening to Grandpa pray. My grandfather, he prayed every day, and not for himself but for his family, for the Blackfoot people, for the world as a whole, but especially the Blackfoot people. Every day he would say the Lord's Prayer, "Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name," and followed up with 3 Hail Marys. And every day, every morning and every evening, he believed in his prayers. And I know that he instilled my faith in me as well. I cherish the memories of going to church with him. of walking in with him, and he would greet everybody on the way in. He had a smile for everybody, and he would always make sure to go and talk to everybody after Mass. He would get up and a little early so he could wait at the back door and be ready to greet people and talk about how they were and whatever cause he was favoring that week. He was well known for his many causes and activities. I believe that even though he's gone, he's still with us, because I can live in a world without Father Gauthier in it, because I know all of his work and all of his contributions, all the people's memories that they share with him will always be here. But what I found most difficult to live in is a world without Grandpa, my best friend. One of the families that he introduced us to was the Fox family from the Blood Reserve. Chief Roy Fox McKenema and him were very close. McKenema's father and grandfather were very dear friends of our grandfather, and it was that family that gave him his name, Achsatosi, the good son. They also honored him with a headdress that he was always so proud of. And today, our family maintains that close connection and friendship with the Fox family, with a lot of memories with them, including McKenema's wife Genevieve, who shared with us the story about the time that Grandpa looked after her when they went on a school trip to Europe when she was just a schoolgirl. A lot of the other memories that he talked about and shared was his love of his greyhound dogs. He ran a team of greyhound dogs on the reserves over the years, and he would make some extra money for the nation members by coyote pelts and such, and sending his dogs hunting, going hunting with his buddies. Bray, what kind of impact did Father have on your education and your career choice?
He had a big impact, I think, growing up. He was very goal-oriented, and he taught us a lot of stuff as young kids. And he was so just a people person and just loved everyone. And like wherever he went, like people knew him, and he cared about every single person. So that's like a big part of nursing and the career that I went into. It's like caring for everyone, no matter their race, no matter age, anything like that. And that's how Fleur was. He just had a love for everyone. So that was a big part of why I went into nursing. And then going into my education to get my nursing degree, he was like a big motivation, because he was always about education too, especially for his kids and his grandkids. And he always pushed us, and every time like we saw him, he was always so proud, and always made a comment about like, oh, like how's school, like how are you, like so good that you're in school. And he was always so proud, so it made me feel like really good that I was doing something good and working towards it. And then when I got into nursing, just how happy he was, and always asking about it. And yeah, he was just very, very loving person, and it had a big impact on choosing my career, and just how proud he was of me and all of us. So yeah.
Thank you. Was it very meaningful for you to have him at your in-home graduation? Because of COVID, we couldn't have a big gathering.
Yes.
But
yeah, it was. And then when I had my list come down on the screen, my name like in the with distinction, and just how proud he was. So yeah, it was good. Yeah.
So you're a nurse at the Carson Hospital, and you work closely with the people in the Blood Reserve. Do a lot of elders feel a connection to you because knowing that you're his granddaughter? How so?
So a lot of people, well, it always goes like I go in a room and it's an Indigenous person, a lot of times they're elders, and then they always ask me like, oh, who are your parents? So then I tell them my parents, and then they don't really know because they're just younger. So then I had to start going down the whole family tree, and then I get to my grandparents, and then they're like, oh, like Morris, and they're like, like he used to be here all the time, and we know him, and he's such a great guy. And so yeah, it's definitely like a bonding piece sometimes when people know Fleur, and yeah, it is.
What lesson do you think from him that you can pass on to your kids, or what lesson from Father would you like to best pass on to other people?
I think one is to be patient. He was always really patient with us and with our learning, and that's something I like want to instill in my daughter, is how patient. And I think sometimes I can get like frustrated with her. She's a toddler, but think like, oh, Fleur would have been like, oh, she's just, it would have just been so nonchalant, and just think of how patient he would be with her, and just love every little thing that she did. So that's a big one, is just being super patient.
Yeah.
And hold on, you'll be able to cut all this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, here, go watch.
That's what I say about editing. You can.
Yes. Here. Okay, go on. Go on. You do it. Okay, go. Like, go on. Go watch. You go like this. Okay, go. Yeah. So should I take it from the top?
Sure.
Okay, so
What lesson would you like to best be able to pass on to others that you learned from Father?
So one is being patient. He was super patient with us growing up, and all the stuff that he taught us, whether it was education or like anything really. He was so well-rounded in all his skills, like from rodeo to like everything, like country, working horses. Like he was just so knowledgeable at everything, and he was just so patient in us learning all that kind of stuff. And that's what I want to instill in like my daughter and people around me, because I can get frustrated sometimes having a toddler, and I just think about how he would have been, and how patient he was with her, and how patient he would be. So I always kind of have him in the back of my mind and being like, oh, she's just like, she's fine, like just let her play. So patience is a big one. That's Cash calling me back because he called her. She called him.
Another question, coming from a rodeo family, what memories do you have about Father working with horses and being at your rodeos?
Yeah, I remember when we were young, we had horses around a lot, and like there was like Dusty and all those kind of horses, and he just knew so much about all that kind of stuff, and he would always like ask about rodeos, and when I was into rodeos, he would always come watch, and it was really encouraging to have him there and him being proud of that. And then Cash with his rodeo, like he always asked like, oh, like where's Cash today, like how's it, and he always asked to watch videos of Reagan and Cash, so he was just always super proud and super encouraging. So
what is your favorite memory of Father?
Oh my gosh.
Or memories?
I don't think I can like pinpoint just one. There were so many. Yeah, just growing up, like being at a Bumux and him like just, I have like a lot of like recollection with him with like his blue truck, and then he would always let me and Nessa drive around his blue truck in a Bumux. So I think that was probably the first time that I learned how to drive was with Fleur, And yeah, I think just everything, like my high school graduation, him being there, and like there goes waterworks.
It's okay.
Yeah, he was just very like present for everything for all of us, and he was always there for everything we had, like any event we had, he was always there, and he was always just so proud of all of us and just showed us like unconditional love. So
thank you.
welcome.
It's good to share our memories of him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cut.
Oxytocin, the Good Son. This film is dedicated to the memory of my grandfather, Maurice Gauthier. Father was the greatest man that I have ever had the privilege of knowing, of learning from, and of loving. He was a proud member of the Blackfoot Confederacy. He was a proud father, a proud grandfather, a proud great-grandfather, and he was the proudest husband that anyone can ever be. This video is also dedicated to his Valentine, the one he called his one true thing, Eileen.
I'm all alone with me. Happy birthday to me.